Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by World Series of Fighting Bantamweight Cody Bollinger. Cody, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I got a little bit of a cold, but we'll fight through it and get this done. So,
right on.
Right. Cody, you got a fight coming up July 5th at World Series of Fighting 11. Is today the last day of hard training, or was it yesterday or Friday? What was training like?
Yeah, we started cooling off yesterday. Last hard day of sparring was Wednesday, and then yesterday we just started cooling off, and we're just going to drill now and get that weight down.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's your schedule like from now until the fight? Obviously, you have to fly out to Florida. There's, weigh-ins, and there's, maybe some media you have to do. What's it like from now until the fight?
Honestly, man, just, training when I can, doing everything that World Series wants me to do. Like you said, media-wise and flying out, but it's going to be real relaxed, just, take my time and relax. I worked hard for the last 6-7 weeks. I get to relax for a little bit and then get ready to go to war.
Mm-hmm. Now, given your history, is this week the week trying to get the weight off? Is that harder than the actual fight? Is that more important than the actual fight itself?
Yeah, I'd say it's more important than the fight, because if I don't make weight, there's a chance the fight doesn't happen,
right,
and I lose money.
Right.
So, yeah, it's definitely an important part of the whole process, but we got a system now, and it's really not going to be that bad this time.
Mm-hmm. The reason I brought that up is because, if you miss weight, the backlash, you have all these people on Twitter and all these people on forums coming out of the woodwork. Oh, he missed weight again, so that's why I brought that up. But is it hard for you to talk about that? Is it hard for you to talk about the Ultimate Fighter?
No, not really. I mean, it's something that happened. I had time to deal with it, before anybody even knew about it, because it happened, late June. So, by the time it aired, I had already had months to deal with it myself and with my family. So, it doesn't really bother me.
Mm-hmm. Now, is the Ultimate Fighter the worst and best thing that ever happened to you? Because obviously, on one hand, it's the best thing because now people know who you are, people are interested in seeing you fight, but then on the other side, people know you because of something that went wrong on the show. So, is it the best and worst thing that happened to you, being a part of the Ultimate Fighter?
Obviously missing weight on the show sucks, and it's, something that you never, ever want to happen, but, it's not the worst, I've had worse things happen to me in my life. As far as being the best, I'd like to think that hasn't happened yet, and we'll see where that goes.
Mm-hmm. I see. Now, you mentioned that you had time to digest everything. You knew about the outcome of the show way before any of us did. How hard was that to have people who weren't connected to the situation being like, I think you're going to do great. I know you're going to win the show, and then have to keep that internal and not be able to tell fans and people who were writing you stuff like, this is what happened. How tough was that to keep it inside? I'm sure you told your friends, family, training partners, coaches, all that kind of stuff, but the outside people who aren't in the know, how difficult was that to keep it in?
Yeah, it was weird, man. Like you said, the people that weren't talking a bunch of crap, and the people that were rooting for me, it was weird. It felt like I was kind of living a lie, or I don't know, man. It was weird though. Like you said, not being able to tell people and all that. It's just I don't know. It was weird when it finally came out. Because I didn't feel any different. But everybody, all of a sudden, all their tones changed, and everything changed for them. And I was like, well, what'd you expect? I couldn't come out and tell you guys, I gotta, act excited and play the part. But yeah, I'd say that was definitely the weirdest part of the whole, experience. Is, like you said, having to keep a straight face. Well, everybody's rooting for me, and I already know the outcome.
Mm-hmm. Now, Anthony Gutierrez, he also missed weight on that season. Did you know about that at all? Was there any tip-off that you got that he also missed weight? Was anything ever told to you, or did you find out with the rest of us on the show watching it?
No, yeah, I had found out a couple weeks before it aired.
Mm-hmm. And did that change anything for you? Like, were people more sympathetic? Were people like less on your case? Did you feel a little bit better about your situation? Like, was there anything that changed when you found out that he didn't make weight?
No, I mean, the fact that we both missed weight has nothing to do with each other. I missed weight. It's my fault, my deal, and completely separate from what happened with him and
right.
His missing weight. It just let me know that I only had to deal with it for 2 weeks, and then the rest of the season, everybody was gonna make fun of Anthony and not so much me.
Right. Now, when you missed weight, when Dana White confronted you about missing weight, he said some things, and then he kicked you off the show. But before you left, you said, when you addressed the teams, I kind of broke mentally, and they had shown you earlier in the season, saying stuff. You missed your family and this and that, and you were thinking about leaving. You didn't know. You were kind of confused. The whole situation kind of got to you a little bit. How much of a factor did that play? Like was it a mental issue that caused the weight loss? Were you or lack of losing the weight? Was it that? Was it something where you just broke mentally and you wanted to go home? Maybe in the back of your mind, was it something like that, or was it just the weight couldn't come off and you just couldn't do it?
No, I mean it was just I couldn't get the weight off, man. It was a long process of every week, possibly having to make weight 2-3 times a week. You don't know if you're fighting or not. So I'm hitting 140 2-3 times a week, for 4 weeks in a row. That'll definitely mess with your weight cut, and I'm dropping weight. I had never made 35s before.
Right.
And then, I go and expect my body to be able to do it multiple times. It was just a mistake I made, and, we focused a lot on making the weight the first time and kind of overlooked the fact that I would have to do it a couple more times after that, It wasn't, with missing the family and all that. It had nothing to do with that.
Right.
Just the way it wouldn't come off, And, they have to edit the show.
Right.
And they have to show certain parts. And, they edit it the way they do. And, I'm okay with it. It definitely wasn't like, I was in the sauna for 5 minutes and then I quit.
Right.
I spent 4 hours that day trying to get weight off and lost half a pound in 4 hours. Mm-hmm. When usually in 4 hours I would lose 10 to 15 and easy.
Right.
It was a struggle, man, and I wasn't losing weight. I wasn't sweating. I was in the sauna for 3 out of those 4 hours, and it wasn't going to happen that day.
Right. Now, speaking of editing, do you really not like Juliana Pena? Because the way they kind of edited it and portrayed it on the show was like they were setting us up for something. Like the two guys who they showed the most saying stuff about her were you and Anthony, and then eventually as the show progressed and we found out what happened to you guys, it painted you in a bad light. It made you guys look like the villains. It kind of all came together once we found out what happened later in the season. Did you really not like her as the show portrayed it to be, or was it just the editing that made it seem like, yeah, you had some problems with her, but it wasn't that major?
No, it was, I hate to speak for everyone else, but, I can honestly tell you, everybody else in the house had the same problems with her. We had all called her out like you saw me and Anthony do. Mm-hmm. They just decided, well, okay, we know these two guys are going to miss weight,
right.
So let's make them be the scapegoats and the bad guys and the assholes, because in the end she's going to be in the finale, so we want her to look as good as possible. Right. And that's how it went, and I'm okay with that, because me and everybody else in the house know how it really was, and that's all that matters.
Right. I'm just curious, do you keep in contact with anyone from the show?
Yeah, definitely. I talked to a lot of people from the show. I actually just got done doing a whole military tour with Jessamine Duke and Shayna Baszler, and Anthony came out for a couple of days, and I stayed with Roxanne for like a week or two in Vegas. So I'm definitely still talking to pretty much everybody.
I see. and there was a story that came out that you saw Dana White. I can't remember exactly where you saw him, but it was after the show, and you got into like an SUV with him, and you told him all kinds of stuff. What was that conversation like, and what did he tell you? I heard that you guys are on good terms. What went down that day?
He happened to be close by, man, and once he kicked me off the show, that was literally it. Like, I got in the car and packed my bags and went to the airport. I didn't have any time to talk off camera to anybody.
Right.
So, we talked in private. I didn't have his number or anything. It's not like I could call him. So, I said, screw it. I'm just gonna, jump in his Escalade, and
right.
I hope, his security doesn't shoot me, or he doesn't, freak out and have me sit in jail. And it went good, man. We had a good talk. We are on good terms, and can't really repeat what
right, sure,
said,
sure.
But it was definitely refreshing off camera to talk to him.
Mm-hmm. What about Misha Tate? Do you keep in contact with her at all? Have you spoken to her since the show ended? Is there anything there? Have you talked to her at all? Are you on good terms? Are you not on good terms? Anything there? When was the last time you talked to her?
No, I have not. I don't really talk to Misha. Yeah, we don't really get along, man. Just some of the things that happened on the show and the way everything went down, which, found it better just not to talk.
Oh, I see. Now, I read somewhere that you had been a fan of the show for a very long time. You really enjoyed The Ultimate Fighter. You always wanted to be on The Ultimate Fighter. Then when you got there, it was a great thing for you to be a part of the show. Besides the weight, obviously you said you could make 135. It's just the high volume of having to make it over and over again to compete on the show that caught you off guard. Besides that, is there anything that was different from what you had seen in the previous however many 17 seasons of The Ultimate Fighter? Was there anything different about being a part of the show as to watching it? Because there's so many guys out there who have seen the show but say, hey, you can't really fully experience and you can't really fully know what goes on unless you're actually living in that house and going through the process. So besides the weight, was there anything else that caught you off guard?
No, man, it was, I had talked to people who had been on the show before. So, yeah, I kind of knew what to expect. We were definitely more privileged than previous seasons. We were allowed to go and, watch the fights at a big, suite at one of the hotels with Fertitta's on. We definitely, like I said, we had more opportunities than previous seasons to, get out of the house. But, besides that, it was pretty much everything you would expect from this.
Right. Now, what's this whole story about the Ultimate Fighter gym bathroom and the day of the elimination fights and you and your wife? What is this a real story, or is this something where you were just kind of teasing whoever was interviewing you? Is this real? Is this legit, this story?
No, yeah. Someone asked me a weird question, and I just responded sarcastically.
Oh.
And they took off with it, so I just let them do it.
Oh, I see. I didn't think so, but I had to know. Anyways, once your episode aired, the episode where it was revealed that you weren't going to be fighting because you failed to make weight, and then they removed you from the show. Once that episode aired, after we see a bunch of pictures of you online surfacing where you're holding a World Series of Fighting contract, and you say, this is my new home with World Series of Fighting, and yada, yada, yada. And so a lot of people were wondering, when exactly did World Series of Fighting come into the picture? Was it like that? Some people thought, oh, hey, they saw him, on the show. He's not going to be in the UFC, so let's sign him, and that'll be that. Like when did they come into the picture? When does World Series come into play after the show? How long after the show ends do they start contacting you? Because I heard somewhere that you had actually had a contract offer from them, but turned it down to go to the show. Is that accurate at all?
No.
Okay.
They'd hit me up before.
Okay.
A long time ago, but it was just for a one-fight thing, and I had already had a fight signed. So I knew they had interest in me. So me and my coach, we reached out to them and a couple other companies about 2 weeks before that. We knew the episode would air. obviously want to still keep fighting. What can you do? And from the get-go, World Series stood out, and they offered the best contract, so we went with them and had the contract signed, ready to go. And as soon as the episode aired, I signed it in back-to-back.
Mm-hmm. I see. Now, your World Series of Fighting debut, you fought Tyson Nam at World Series of Fighting 8. It was a pretty competitive fight. You ended up winning by unanimous decision. Some people scored the fight for Tyson Nam, so I'm just curious, how confident were you after the fight, before the scorecards were read, and just curious, how did you score the fight?
I thought I won the fight, to be honest. I definitely think I won the first and the third round. I've watched the fight 10 times because I hate close fights when it could go either way. So I've watched this fight like 10, 15 times and really tried to judge it honestly. I've counted the strikes. I threw 3 times as many punches and kicks. I landed twice as many times, and a lot of them were on the hand, but his hands were on his head the whole time, and it's hard to make it an impressive back and forth war when one guy is scared to throw hard back at you because he's worried about your takedown,
Right.
And I went into that fight with 2 really, really serious injuries, so nobody knew but me and my coaches, but I wasn't able to wrestle. I wasn't able to grapple. All I could do 2 weeks before the fight was run just to get the weight down, and even that hurt. So, he's worried about my takedown the whole time.
Right.
Not knowing that I can't even wrestle or grapple, to even warm up for the fight. So it kind of made it a boring fight, But, I came out there and I really do feel I won, regardless of what anybody says.
Right.
I'm just glad that the judges agreed.
Right. Now, going into that fight, the stakes were, if Cody Bollinger wins, he gets a title shot against Marlon Moraes. That didn't end up happening. Josh Reddinghouse got the title shot, and then eventually Moraes beat him, and now he's the World Series of Fighting champion. So I'm just curious, what happened with that? Was it the injuries that made them go in a different direction and go with Josh Reddinghouse, or was it they were disappointed with your performance against Tyson Nam and they need to see you another time before they're ready to give you a title shot? I'm just curious what exactly happened with that title shot, because people were surprised when it goes from, okay, Cody Bollinger, he just won, he's going to fight for the title, to all of a sudden Josh Reddinghouse is on the poster. So what happened with the title shot?
Yeah, they called me for the fight, and it was just the injury. I told them I needed more time to be healthy. If we could do it, a month, all I asked for was an extra month or even 2 months to get ready for the fight. Just so I'm 100% and ready to go, and they didn't want to wait, so they went with Reddinghouse, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people are wondering why World Series of Fighting has really given you a big push, and they're really promoting you. They're giving you big fights, giving you big opportunities. A lot of people are wondering why that's happening, because you had a stint on The Ultimate Fighter that we all know didn't end well, and then you also had a stint in Bellator that also didn't end well. So a lot of people are wondering why World Series of Fighting has really gotten behind you. Why do you think they've gotten behind you? Why do you think they're promoting you the way they are? Why do you think they're so committed to you? Because they are giving you big opportunities. They are giving you big fights. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they are giving you the opportunities that they're giving to you? Because a lot of people out there are wondering why that's happening. Anything come to mind? What's the relationship like? Why is this happening?
I don't know, man. They see something that other people don't, I guess. They see what I don't know. I'm just happy they are. I can't tell you why they're giving me this shot, but I'm definitely grateful. And like I said, I'm happy they are. It definitely is another shot for me. And I'm looking to stay with them for a while. I would love to re-sign with them after these fights are up and, work out a new contract. I'm really happy with them, and, I'm looking to stay here for a while, get that belt, and stay champ for them instead of just leaving and going somewhere else.
Right. Now, this fight against Pablo Alfonso is going to be the first ever fight aired on NBC, the first time mixed martial arts live the first fight ever is going to be between you and Pablo Alfonso. How much does that mean to you, number one? And number two, is it just excitement that you're feeling, or is there any nerves you're feeling about being live on network TV? You know, how are you feeling right now, and how excited are you for the opportunity?
I'm stoked, man. It's an awesome opportunity, you know. Being able to say I'm going to be the first guy to ever fight on NBC live, you know, and it's a great opportunity, and I'm happy that World Series felt like, you know, me and Pablo are a good enough fight to be able to do that, and I'm just happy to be on the card. There's a lot of great guys on the card. I'm happy to be fighting alongside them, and you know, there's no added pressure or anything like that. It's just we go out there and I'm gonna have fun like I always do.
Right. Now you're taking on Pablo Alfonso. What are your thoughts about him as an opponent?
He's tough, man. His record's horrible, but he's a lot better and a lot tougher than his record shows. You know, I think he's just fought some tough dudes and had some bad luck. But he's tough. He's game. He comes to fight, and you know, record aside, he's going to be a real test, and you know, we'll find out what's up. Right.
And the old saying goes, records are for DJs, so we can't really judge his record too much, because he is a very tough guy. I think he just beat Miguel Torres not too long ago, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm saying, you know, his record's horrible, but he's beaten some tough dudes, and the guys he lost to aren't, you know, half bad either. He's lost some tough-ass guys, too.
Mm-hmm. Is the plan going forward still to get a win here and get a title shot? Is that something that's still promised to you? Should you get by Pablo Alfonso, is that still on the table, that title shot?
Yes, sir. Still the plan. Plan to win this fight and go fight for that title. To try and take it away from Moraes, you know?
Mm-hmm. What do you think about Moraes? When you watch him fight, what comes to mind when you watch this guy in action?
I think he's really, really tough, but definitely see some holes in his game, and I think that if, you know, anybody in World Series can beat him, it's going to be me. And Pablo's in my way, you know, and if Pablo beats me, best of luck to him, but he's not going to beat Moraes. And I don't know, it sounds weird, but I'm really the only guy in World Series that has a chance of beating Moraes, and the only one who's going to. So, you know, I got to beat Pablo first so I can show that.
World Series of Fighting, how many fights are left on your deal with them?
After this fight, I'll have 2 more fights left with them.
I see. I'm just curious, what's your official nickname here? You have Bam Bam, and then you have the Cali Cowboy. What are you sticking with going forward?
The Cowboy, man. I got Bam Bam when I was 15, so 23 now, time to change it up a little bit and get rid of the Bam Bam nickname. Plus, Pat Healy's still fighting, so I gotta let him have his name. He had it first, and when he retires, I might go back to Bam Bam, but we'll see.
Right. Are you from California, born and raised?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. And where did you get that nickname, Cali Cowboy?
Just from being on the show, man. I got a pair of cowboy boots, just because I wanted to, and you know, we were allowed to get some stuff that we didn't have to pay for, and you know, I said, screw it, why not? I got some cowboy boots, and it just kind of came up. I forgot who said it, but you know, it just kind of came up and stuck. So.
I see. Well, Cody, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Yeah, man, I definitely want to thank Rev Gear. Definitely want to thank CF Athletic, Future Energy Savers, all great people, man. Unique Kennels, and yeah, that's it, dude. Thank you to everybody listening. Thank you for having me on. Also, man, it was a good time and a pleasure. And yeah, tune in next week. It's going to be a fun card, and I'm opening it up. So let's get some good ratings and kick some butt.
Mm-hmm. Cody, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. Good luck July 5th at World Series of Fighting 11 against Pablo Alfonso.
Awesome.